Hi, it's Stephen here for Bland Designs, and this is crap video number 4. I've done 2 crap videos in a row, and what crap means, if this is the first time that you've ever tuned into one of my crap videos, it stands for creative relaxation and play. And today what I thought I was going to do is I got out my Yupo paper and I got out my various inks, and I'm just going to muck about with ink on Yupo and see what I get. I've got some mark making tools as well here, and so I don't know. It may be crap, it may be great. If you don't know what Yupo paper is, it's synthetic paper. It's actually like a polypropylene, they call it, it says. It's plastic, and it's really kind of neat. It comes in several different sizes, as you can see here. I have this 5x7, and I also have, what's this one, 9x12 as well. And it has a very smooth, almost photo glossy type surface to it. But basically your paint, watercolors, inks, whatever, if you don't like something, you can just wipe it off. Eventually they will dry and become permanent. But it's kind of neat stuff, and so I'm wondering how it's going to react to various inks that I have out here. So we're going to give it a try. By the way, this is not really cheap paper. You can usually get it at an art supply store or buy it online. I think it ranges for a pad this size, and you get, 10 sheets in it, it says, in around $10, and I think it's around 15 or 16 for 10 sheets of the larger size as well. So anyways, I'm going to start off by using one of the smaller sheets. And as I said, I've got my inks out here. I'm using a mixture here of Liquitex acrylic inks, and the other brand I'm using is the Roni FW inks, and I've got some good old-fashioned India ink as well. And I think I'm going to start with the India ink, so I'm going to give this a shake. Not really sure if you have to shake up inks or not, but I'm going to do it. These have been sitting around here for a while too, so it probably can't hurt to do that. And the India ink probably doesn't need to be shaken, but I'm going to. It's a relatively new bottle, and I'm just going to take a paintbrush, dip it in the ink, and see what happens. And basically, not a lot. I was kind of hoping you would react like alcohol inks do. You know, when you put alcohol inks, they spread out. This is not doing that, but you basically can paint with it. So I'm just going to do a few random little brush strokes. I don't have any plan for this. I'm just trying it out, see what kind of things we create, kind of like the last crap video that I did. I am not an artist. Wish I could be an artist. I wouldn't mind that at all. Again, I don't know, this is starting to look like a barren bush to me, but I really don't have a plan. So, okay, let's do a couple down here as well. Actually, kind of liking this, but I am going to destroy it. So, this is on here. It's still kind of on the wet side, but it seems, the India ink seems to dry fairly quickly on this, and I should have some water here with me, so I'm just going to pause the video for a second and get some water. Okay, I'm back. So now I'm going to just take some ink and sort of drop it on here, and let's start with something bold. I've got the red and the Liquitex ink, acrylic ink. Go to shake. Oh, and there goes my phone and my iPad all at the same time. Okay, never mind. Okay, now these have a little eyedropper with them, so I'm just going to take and just I'm going to take my brush and I don't know, just flick it around a little bit. Actually, a little ink seems to go a long way on this Yupo. I guess it's because it doesn't really absorb it. I probably put too much on. It's kind of fun. Not sure what I'm doing, but that's okay. Okay, enough for the red. Now, I don't know if I should give this a blast with a heat gun. I'm not sure how this paper will react to heat, so let's find out. Now, because it is a polypropylene, that's a plastic basically, I would suspect that by putting too much heat on this, it will probably warp the paper. And it sorta is, but I'm keeping this moving quite a bit to get everything to dry fairly quickly on here. There's a little bit of a smell coming from this, and I don't know if it's from the ink or if it's from the actual paper as the heat hits it. Yeah, there are some fumes when you do that. Okay, so one word of advice or caution on that. Okay, let's try a different color. Let's try a little bit of this blue. This is the Roni FW ink. I really haven't used these inks for anything before. In fact, this could be pretty much a virgin bottle. It's got a little different eyedropper to it, so let's try some. Oops. Okay, that's all I'm going to put. Now let's just have it run a little bit. Okay, let's see if I can get it to ripple like I did yesterday with the other mediums. Not really. Okay, I wonder what happens if I add a little water. They are acrylic, so... Oh, look at that. That's cool. Okay, I'm letting the excess drip off. That's kind of interesting. Now, that's the India ink. I don't know if because it's been on there longer or whatever, but it didn't seem to really run. Still I put quite a bit of water on this, as you could see. That's kind of neat. And there goes my phone again. You know, it never fails. It doesn't go off when I'm not on camera. When I'm on camera, that's when it decides to go off. I probably should put it on mute. Okay, so I'm wondering here what'll happen if I just blot a little bit. Now, see, this is the property of the Yupo. You see the ink staying on the surface of this before it's dry. Actually, I'm just doing it a little around like a little border. And there's a little bit of black stuff. I think that's from the India ink. Oops, now I got a little darker color up there. Okay. So let's hit it with a heat gun. And again, since this paper is not really absorbing the inks it's laying on top, it does take a little longer to dry because essentially I'm evaporating that water I sprayed on it and any of the liquid in the ink. And it's still a little damp. Okay, now why don't we try some mark making? So I've got this cork, and actually it's a synthetic cork, so I'm not sure what kind of marks I'm going to get out of this. And let's take maybe a little yellow and just move this off of here for a second. Take another paper towel. There's a little bit of moisture on the back of this. And let's shake it up. And we'll just take the end of the cork and dip it in here. As I said, this is synthetic cork, so I'm not sure what we're going to get. Ooh. Okay. Clean this up a little bit. And you want to know something? I think I should put some invisible gloves on because I have a feeling this ink's going to stain my hands. If you don't know what this stuff is, I got it on Amazon.com. It's called Invisible Glove. It's a protective hand coating, and you put it on just like a moisturizer, like a hand cream, and you rub it in really well, and it works really well because I've been using it on other things. And so any paint and ink you get on your hands after you're done your project, you go to wash up, 90% of this is going to come right off immediately with a little soap and water. And if there's anything that remains, just give it a little extra rub with some, good soap and maybe even a little fingernail brush or something, and it just comes right off. It's great stuff. And it also kind of leaves your hands feeling silky and soft too. So there's a bonus for you ladies out there, and for the gentlemen as well. So let's hit this with the heat dryer. Okay, I'm going to just set this one aside to dry more thoroughly because I don't think I'm going to add any more layers to the top of that. But that's kind of interesting. So let's get another sheet. And let's try doing some kind of a background. Let's get out the purple. My problem is the more colors I have, the more colors I want to use. And I think I'm going to take a baby wipe. And I'm going to just kind of smoosh this around using the baby wipe. It's probably enough. And let's just see what happens. I'm just going to go all over this as a background. You can see how little I used for that. In fact, I probably used too much. Now, I've got time with this because it's not drawing right into it. Oops. Now, there, I wiped it off. Okay, so see, this is what, just a point of principle here. This is what you can do. The more you wipe, you can wipe the whole thing off if you don't like it. Okay, so that's one thing you can do. So I've given it a light tint, but I think I want more purple on that, so I'm going to put down some more. Actually, I'm going to give it a little texture. This is kind of neat. Okay, instead of just wiping it, I'm just going to give it a little texture here. Okay, but you see, I'm picking it back up too. So this is something you got to be careful about. There's a point of no return where you start to lift the color back up off of it. And let's take a little bit of the blue and put a little there. And I'm just going to use the same baby wipe. Just going to flip it around. And let's add a little yellow. Okay. Now that's kind of an interesting background. Okay, now I have these little texture combs from Tim Holtz from Ranger, all different teeth on them. So I'm thinking maybe I'll lay down some more ink and drag one of these through it. I think I want one that's fairly fine. What about maybe this one? So this is kind of hard to see what I've got. And color. Shall we bold? This is actually a white. No, it's already pretty light. Now let's try this. What is it? Orange? No, it's the red. There's an orange. Let's go with the orange. And see what happens. And let's drag it across. Probably put on too much there again. I'm a little heavy-handed. Okay, let's see what happens. I do think I put too much on, and I'm just, again, because the open time for this on this kind of paper is so great, you do have time to adjust your pattern. Okay, let's stop. And let's try it again. Now, I'm looking at this, and this actually looks like, and you probably can't tell this on the camera, but to me this looks like, you know, layers in an apartment building, and there's doors and there's windows, and if I outlined some of these using the India ink and a pen nib, it might look kind of interesting, but I don't know if I want to do that. Or I could just use a Sharpie. That might work too. How wet is this? It's doing pretty good. Maybe I'll try that with a fine Sharpie and just outline some of these little blocks on here and see what that looks like. Let's clean up a little first. Okay, so I need a fine tip Sharpie. And I probably got one here somewhere. I'm just not so sure where. Okay, this is going to take... Well, I do have a pen with a nib. Okay. It's all about inks anyways, not all about Sharpie, so let's see what happens when I took my pen in. Well, I'm not sure if I'm liking this or not, but I'm not going to do the whole thing. Could. I'm just going to do this one section. I'm not being very careful about this either. Okay. By the way, my stomach just growled, and I don't know if the camera picked it up or not. So if that's the sound you heard, that was my stomach. And if you didn't hear that, never mind. Maybe I'll just continue on down here one more level. So I'm just doing 1/4 of the page. It's kind of interesting. You could do the whole thing, but I think I'm just going to leave it at that. And maybe hit it again with the heat gun. It does, to me, the more I look at it, they'll look like an apartment building with all these doors and windows, and some of the windows look like they've got curtains, and some of them look like they've got little blinds pulled down, or that could just be an overactive imagination on my part. Okay, what do we want to try next? Maybe we'll use this and make some marks. Maybe try a little teal. Okay, so let's leave that. Wipe this up a little bit. Now, the question may come out is, will this ink stain my non-stick pad? Maybe, maybe not. I usually have good luck cleaning this if I put a little hand sanitizer on it, or alcohol, but hand sanitizer kind of eats into this stuff, into the ink and that, and cleans it up. So we'll see afterwards if that works or not. Okay, what more can I experiment with? Well, I've got this sponge, or maybe just make some lines, maybe better with the edge of one of these. So do we want to do a little black, white, copper, silver? I don't have that many different colors. What I've got is what you see here. So maybe go for red. Try a little red on here. And I'm just going to take the straight edge of this and just dip it through, and then okay. Actually, it kind of looks like if you rub your no-stick sheet, just give it a little firm pressure, you can fill up some of that on it as well. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. I don't know if you think it is. Here, I'll show it to you a little closer up. It's kind of interesting. Let's hit it again with the heat gun. And actually, I think I'm going to leave this one. I'm not going to add anything more to it. I'm just going to set it aside to dry. Let's get another sheet. Now, I really want to try blowing the ink around. So let's see. Got a drinking straw here. And let's put down some color. Drop of orange. Blue, and a drop of yellow. And let's blow it. Might pass out here any moment. Oh yeah, I'm getting a little lightheaded. Okay. If you hear a sound, it's me keeling over. Okay, let's come up for some oxygen here. And let's hit that with the heat gun. It's kind of nice, little spidery, webby kind of thing coming out from it. Okay, I paused the video there for a minute or two because my husband came downstairs and I didn't need you to hear what he was saying over that. And okay, so I hit this with the heat gun, so it's relatively dry now. And now I'm thinking maybe add some more texture to it. I've got some bubble pad out here. And what color? Well, why don't we go try some of the metallics? Let's see, I've got silver, I've got copper, I've got a bronze. Let's try copper. Now these are metallic, and I think they might have mica in them. I'm not really sure. It's got something anyways that makes them look kind of sparkly, so give it a good shake. And I'll just lay some out here on my mat. And I'm going to take my bubble wrap. Kind of juicy, so it's kind of giving me more blobs than texture. If I use less though. Okay, let's stop and dry. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do next. Maybe I'll try putting another color on here towards the center, but add a little water to it, and then use the straw again and see if I can make it burst out. See what happens that way. So I think I should make sure this is really well dry this time, because I'll avoid mixing colors and then creating all mud. Okay, let's do the red. I'll put a blob right there. And then I'm going to give it little spurts of water. Ooh, that makes it bleed out on its own. Maybe I won't even use the straw. Now let's try the straw, and there goes my clock. I think I blew most of it off. Kind of gave it a little rosy tinge to it. Let's just mop up here. Another paper towel. go back to the India ink, and I have this natural sponge here. So let's take a little of this out. Maybe an easier way to do this, like with an eyedropper. Probably don't need too much though. Ooh, kind of like that. It's kind of neat. Okay, now to black. Would it be over the top if I used a little silver? Yeah, I'm not known for my subtlety, so let's be a little over the top. I'm going to use the sponge again. Ooh, it doesn't show up that boldly, but it gives a little sparkle. This is kind of neat. Okay. Now I'm thinking, this makes a really interesting background. What if I just take a rubber stamp and stamp something down near the bottom of this kind of a thing, maybe something that looks like a tree or a flower, that kind of thing. Let's just make sure it's pretty dry. Now I'm just thinking too, this stuff that I'm doing here, these techniques, if you, for lack of a better word, this playing I'm doing, this might work really well in my art journal as well. Now of course the art journal is not using Yupo, it's using a different paper, but so it would absorb more into it, but if you put down some gesso, that might keep it from absorbing right into the paper. Okay, I'm just going to look for a rubber stamp here and I'll be right back. Okay, so I got this rubber stamp of these little trees in the forest, and I think I'm going to put them down here into this one corner, or maybe in this corner. No, I think this corner. And I'm using a ink that is waterproof when it dries. It's a dye ink, it's Memento Tuxedo Black. And we're going to see. Now, I'm not sure. I just tested this out on a piece of copy paper because my stamp's pretty well worn. I want to make sure I can get a good impression. And I'm also using a stamping mat underneath to give me a little bit of oomph so that I can get a fairly clear impression. It's not probably going to come out absolutely bold, but that's okay. Giving it a fair amount of force on this. Well, it came out faint, but it's kind of interesting. Actually, I think I'm going to carry on over to the right over the edge. Oh, I kind of like that. It's subtle. Can you see it? it's very subtle. Okay, let's just give it a blast here to set it. Now I'm thinking, what else could I put in this? Like something in the sky? I don't know, maybe small butterflies? Birds? I don't think I have a small bird stamp, but I might have a small butterfly stamp. Let me take a look, I'll be back. So I found this set of peg stamps. I think they're by Tapestry. Yeah, Tapestry, rubber stamp Tapestry or something. And the idea of these stamps are on pegs, and you put them together and you get these nice borders, but they have this little tiny butterfly. And so I thought that might be just about the right size. And I'm thinking of putting them like they're coming out of the forest kind of thing. And I've got two colors. I was originally going to do them in black, but then I think, well, I've got these black blotches up here, and it might just blend into that too much. So I've got a dark stays on ink called Claret, which is it's like a deep reddy plum purple, and then I have something called Gothic Purple as well. So I thought I'd try these two colors. So there's a registration mark on here so you know which end is up when you stamp. It's actually at the base, pointing to the base of the butterfly. So it's not that it matters too much. Actually, it seems to match the diagram that's on top too, so I'll know. So maybe make a flock of butterflies. Flock of butterflies? I don't know, what do you call a group of butterflies? Okay, let's go in. I didn't bother to clean off my stamp. I'm going right off the page. Okay, they're on there. They are not that visible. There's a bit of shine to all of this, but they're subtle, but they're there. Okay, again, a little heat to set. Okay, anything else I could do with this? I'm thinking Wink of Stella. Wink of Stella will give it a little bit of a shimmer. There's still some shimmer on here though. I'm tempted to darken up the trees, but I'm not sure how. I mean, I could run Indian ink over each little branch, but I don't know if I want to take the time for that, and that might make it look really crappy. Maybe I should best leave it alone, or this bottom part here. I wonder if I took the Wink of Stella. I'm just going to try a little clear Wink of Stella. If you don't know what Wink of Stella is, it's these little water brushes that are full of like a shimmer solution, probably mica, and you just squirt them out. That one's running pretty good, and it just adds a real subtle shimmer. Ooh, and it's also making my color run that's on here. Okay, but I'm not worried about that. I'm just doing it here. I don't want it to be very solid anyway, so that added the line there. I wonder what about the tree trunks. It is darkening up the trees a little bit, just add a little bit more here and there. I just want them to pop just a little bit more out of here, but not too much. I like this sort of ghosting effect. Now the one thing after you've used Yupo paper I find is when you're using these different kinds of mediums on it, it's a good idea to spray it with a fixative of some sort. You can use a cheap hairspray for this. I prefer to buy the more commercially professional type, but you know, in a pinch you could use the hairspray and it will work. Of course, if you're concerned about archival quality, I don't recommend the hairspray then. I'm not even sure if the other spray is archival quality either, for that matter. But I figure as long as it's around for 100 years, I won't be, so I won't care. No big deal. Okay, stop layer head. I was going to do the butterflies too, but I don't think, of course with the butterflies, let me clean off this a little bit. They were done with stays on, and it's supposed to stays on, and it does. So, just gives it a really subtle twinkle. And I'm not being very particular about staying inside the lines on each of these butterflies. I'm just adding some sparkle, because I like sparkle. I like me some bling. Actually, I'm kind of liking this piece. It's kind of abstract, it's kind of art journal-ish. Yep, that'll do. Okay. Stop in your head. Hit it with the heat dryer. And I think that's all I'm going to do for now on this video. It's long enough. And let's just take a look at what our crap was today. So, I'm using Yupo paper. I started out with using just India ink and a brush and just all over it. And then I added some of the Liquitex and I never remember the name of this other company. Roni. Probably not saying it right, but whatever. Added that on here, did the same thing, just kind of hit it with the paintbrush. I made some marks with a synthetic cork in here and tried wiping a little bit of the color around it. So that was the first piece. Second piece is the one I want to call apartment building. That I put with a baby wipe. I used some of the different inks, 3 different colors inks, and kind of smushed them about, and then I dabbed them for a little texture, and then I laid down some more color, and I took one of my texture tools and just ran it through and got this pattern, and then I tried to accentuate the pattern a little bit with some India ink on a pen down here, and then I made some marks in the green acrylic Liquitex ink using a little plastic cup. And I made some lines using the straight edge of the texture tool in another color and called that a day. And then the last piece, my piece of resistance here, I blew the color around with a drinking straw, added a little water, did a little dabbing, and then used a couple of rubber stamps here on top of the layer and enhanced it with a little Wink of Stella to create that background. And this one, I'm really quite liking. I think that's frameable. Now, as I said, after these dry more thoroughly, I am going to spray them with fixative just to seal them and call it a day. What can you do with them afterwards? Well, cut them up, put them through a die cutting machine, cut them in strips, use them as card backgrounds, put them in your art journal, all kinds of things you can do with them. And that'll be kind of neat. So, I hope you enjoyed this crap video. And today, well, I don't think I made crap. I think they turned out pretty good. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.